Dear friends, welcome to another episode of Military Power NEW Show. In this video, we will talk about the invasion of Polish airspace by Russian drones and the alliance's response to what is seen as yet another provocative test by Putin, as well as the West's determination in the face of his expansionism in Eastern Europe. On the morning of Wednesday, September 10th, Poland announced the interception of several Russian drones that entered its airspace, with the government in Warsaw describing the event as an act of aggression by Moscow. The invasion of Polish airspace took place in the context of a much broader attack which saw more than 420 Russian drones launched against targets in Ukraine. Ukraine, in turn, reported that it managed to intercept about 380 drones during the night, with President Zelensky reporting that more than 24 crossed the border and entered Poland. The response was swift, with NATO air forces, including Polish F-16s and Dutch F-35s, taking off to intercept the threats, with the alliance confirming that F-35 fighters shot down some drones, marking the first time that alliance jets have shot down Russian drones. For the Polish Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, the situation is a clear sign of a large-scale provocation, and he did not hesitate to state that Poland needs to prepare for different scenarios, including a possible escalation of the conflict. As the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky pointed out, there are strong indications that the direction of the attack was not accidental. Zelensky noted that another Russian drone entered alliance airspace during the war. Those were rare, isolated cases over years of war, nothing like the more than 20 that entered Poland tonight. The escalation of the conflict with Russian drones targeting the country Dalton may indicate a change in Russian military behavior, posing a direct threat to Ukraine and regional security. While Russia initially stayed silent, Belarus, a Moscow ally, says the drones may have strayed because of electronic warfare, something that has indeed happened in a very limited way in the past, but never on such a large scale. In Poland, airspace was temporarily closed in some regions, including Warsaw's main airport, leading to disruptions and delays. Not just in Poland, but elsewhere in Europe too. In response to this Russian drone incursion, Poland invoked Article 4 of the NATO treaty, an emergency mechanism that allows a member country to consult the Alliance Council on security issues in search of collective action. Article 4 was last used in February 2022, the day Russia began its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The incursion of Russian drones into Polish airspace raises a fundamental question. What exactly is Vladimir Putin trying to achieve with this kind of action? Is this an attempt to test the West's resolve in his Eastern European expansion? The crime appears to be pushing the limits of what's tolerable, and, more importantly, with the response of the international community to these provocations. When we look at these Russian actions in recent years, from the annexation of Crimea in 2014 to the current war in Ukraine, we see a clear strategy of testing the waters, making Western countries respond to every military action. In the specific case of drones, Putin may be trying to assess NATO's strength, and more specifically, the response of countries like Poland. An incident like this is not only about Poland or about killing Ukrainian targets, but also about how the West will react. A strong, coordinated response could show Russia that escalating beyond Ukraine will bring direct, serious consequences. On the other hand, if NATO's response is weak or non-existent, this could be interpreted by Putin as a sign that the West is not willing to get directly involved. A scenario that might push Russia to escalate military actions in Ukraine and possibly launch new incursions into Eastern Europe. The absence of a firm response could reinforce the perception that the Atlantic Alliance is divided, reluctant to confront the prize decisively and stop.
For Putin, this would represent a strategic opportunity to advance his expansionist ambitions, challenging the borders established after the end of the Cold War. Furthermore, the failure to respond effectively could fuel the Russian narrative that the West is weak and vulnerable, thus strengthening Putin's position within his own sphere of influence and in Russia's military and political circles. Therefore, the way NATO reacts to these Russian actions will not only reflect its determination to protect Poland, but also a message sent to Putin about the limits of what he can do without facing a more serious response. This puts the security of Poland, neighboring countries, and more broadly, NATO itself at stake. Although the Russian drones did not cause any casualties, the violation of the airspace of a NATO member is a red line that cannot be ignored. And if Moscow's aggression becomes more frequent, the consequences could be catastrophic, not only for Ukraine, but for the security of all of Europe. Jelot positivo. This Russian drone invasion showed the alliance is alert and coordinated, with Polish and Dutch fighter jets working alongside United States and Italian radar and early warning planes. All of this with a single purpose: to protect European airspace from Putin's violent expansionism. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so now and hit the notification bell to stay updated.